What's up, you guys? Steven with Magic Mono Money. Today we're talking about 5 reasons why 2021 is a great time to get into Modern. Let's just jump right into it. Reason number 1, Modern Horizons, both 1 and 2. MH1, product is 2 years old, and yes, obviously there were some problem cards printed. You got the Snow Globe, you got Hogak. Those obviously were some issues, but overall, the big obvious ones aside, the set really well received. A lot of really fun cards that were really good for Modern, right? Cards that people really desired to have in Modern, right? More of the Horizon lands. Great cards to reduce flood, make more playable games. You got Force of Negation, Archmage's Charm, Wrenn and 6, Seasoned Pyromancer. These are really good, powerful cards that were printed that didn't break the format, right? It didn't just make the format super not fun to play. And if you've played Modern over the years, you'll know there have been some times where the format is less than fun to play. Looking at you, KCI. But overall, Modern Horizons 1 was a really great set with some awesome cards that made the format a lot of fun, and it's still relatively cheap. Now, somehow over the last 5 days, the boxes have gone from like $230 all the way up to like $290. So yeah, that's probably the Rudy effect. Y'all know what I mean. Alpha Investments, he talks about a product and it spikes. So yeah, it's gone up recently, but still under $300 for a product that's 2 years old that was sold at that power level. That was a couple $100 right out of the gates. It's not that bad of a price, and the singles aren't too crazy. Plus, we're already seeing some of the singles getting reprinted, which is kind of crazy that it's only 2 years old and we're starting to see reprints already. But Modern Horizons 1 is still accessible, and those cards, they're pretty necessary. You're going to need at least a few cards from MMH1 in order to play the format. That's just, maybe not depending on your deck, but most likely you'll need a few, and the prices are still obtainable. Modern Horizons 2, it's right around the corner, right? It's going to be well loved. It's going to be open. Some parts of the world might even be able to do some in-person events, right? It depends on what state you're in and local laws and everything, but people are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and realizing we can play paper Modern again. And Modern Horizons 2, some places might be able to play in paper. It might not be official competitive events, but they can still draft with their friends, and it's going to be a lot of fun. This product is going to be really widely available. And yeah, we've seen some leaks, and I'm not going to talk about the leaks too much if Counterspell is or is not legit. Well, time will tell. We'll find out whether or not those spoilers, those leaks are actual real. But for now, we know that it's going to be great. The set, it's going to be fun. But for now, we do know that Modern Horizons 2 is going to be printed right now. And this is going to be the best time to pick up boxes and rip open boxes and do box openings and, get the new cards and draft the format to get in the new cards and everything. So obviously, whenever a product is right at release, that's the best time where it's the most easily accessible, except for Time Spelled Remasters. Whoops, that one's not so easily accessible. Too soon, maybe. But overall, Modern Horizons 2, it's right around the corner, and it's definitely going to print cards that are going to go directly into the format, so now's going to be a great time to get your hands on those cards. All right, reasons number 2 and 3 are kind of one reason, but they are different, so I broke them up so that way I could have 5 instead of 4, because it looks better on the thumbnail and the title. Y'all know what I mean. But overall, reason number 2, cards right now are relatively cheap thanks to reprints. And it's insane. If you go look at Modern staples that have just been staples since the beginning of the format, some of the cards are crazy cheap. Engineered Explosives is $4. I couldn't believe it. I went to pick one up the other day because I wanted to get a second one, and I've had one for years. And I was like, oh man, I don't really want to get a second one. I don't want to spend $40. $4? What? The 5th Dawn version is like $9? The original OG printing? That is insane. This card's been like $40-$60 for like pretty much its entire existence in Modern. It's wild. That is crazy cheap. And there's a lot of other cards that are really cheap. Tarmogoyf, $30-$35. Tarmogoyf was the powerhouse, dude. Tarmogoyf, $200, $150, $100. $35 for Tarmogoyfs? You can get a playset for less than what it used to cost you to get one copy? Wow, super cheap. Dark Confidant, $30, $35. Stoneforge Mystics. Now, those have actually started to creep up a little bit, and that's actually something I've seen overall. Stoneforge Mystics are like, they're getting close to $40 again, maybe $35, $40. But 2 months ago, they weren't. They were more like $20, $30. So $25, $30. So it's interesting that people are starting to realize that, hey, paper events are going to happen again. And so people are starting to accumulate their cards again and pick up cards and build new decks and things like that. So I'm actually starting to see an uptick in price overall in the paper cards. And I think that's a big reason why. It's because people are realizing, hey, I can actually play with these again. So now I want to buy them before they jump in price, before the tide really hits, when we can officially play again. That's when you're going to see a lot of spike in prices, because demand's going to go up because you realize, hey, we can play. So those who are looking ahead a bit of the future, looking ahead down the road and saying, hey, we're going to actually get to start to play again. That's going to be a real thing. My LGS survived. I know I have a place to go play. People are already seeing that, so they're just going to keep going up, right? There's not a reason why these cards, modern cards, are going to magically start going down. So overall, they are pretty cheap, but they're starting to go up. Batterskull, $6. Like, it's crazy. Now, some of them are a little bit more expensive. Like, I was surprised Liliana the Veil was back up to like $90 or something, because she had dipped for a while, but it's still not crazy expensive, not too bad. They're not over $100 like these cards have been in the past. Snapcaster Mage is like $45. Noble Hierarch is $15. That card was $50 for the longest time. Then it got reprinted. Also, we're seeing some really more common and uncommon cards that were a pretty penny. That they all add up when you're buying a whole deck. Really been reduced in price, right? Monastery Swiftspear has been reprinted 1,000 times, whether that's due to secret layers or Time Spiral remasters or whatever. Monastery Swiftspear, again, is it an expensive card? No, but it would be a $10 card for an uncommon, which isn't crazy expensive, but that adds up when you need to get 4 of them, right? That's $40. It's nice that it's 2 or 3. It helps. It really helps. Mistra's Bauble, $3. Awesome. That card was like $15, $20 for a very long time. Manamorphose is only $2, $3. That card was $15 forever. Literally, I remember the last time I was at a big modern 1K, and I did pretty well, so I got cashed out or whatever, and I got $50, $60 of store credit or something like that. And I was like, what can I get? I was trying to find something to spend. I was like, oh, perfect. I'm trying to build mono red prowess. I'm going to spend $60 of the store credit to go get a playset of Manamorphose. Now that card's like $3. What? Because it got reprinted not once but twice within a few months of each other. Yeah, that's crazy. Cards are just way cheap due to reprints. Reason number 3, or 2B or whatever, 2.5. Reason number 3, cards are cheap because of cards being still standard legal. A lot of cards that have been printed over the last few years in standard have just gone directly into modern. And obviously some of them have just wrecked the format and it's been way too powerful. You got Oko, you got Uro, whatever. Aside from those, there's still a lot of cards that have been printed directly into modern, essentially, without being like a Modern Horizon set. Right? It's been a standard card that's just gone directly into it. People saw right away the power level. So if you look back at Throne of Eldraine, obviously, even without Oko, you still got all the adventure cards, and they see modern play, right? The fact that you just have 2 for 1, an answer and a creature at the same time, a threat and an answer, those are seeing modern play, not in droves, right? This isn't like Flashback, Snapcaster Mage, Lingering Souls, Innistrad Era, Liliana of the Veil, right? It's not necessarily Innistrad level where every card is going right in, but a lot of cards are going right into modern, including the castles. The castles are great for modern, awesome cards. Ikoria, right? Think about Ikoria. You got the Triomes. They're single digit dollars. They're less than $10. It's good time to pick them up because Triomes are just going to go up over time. And yeah, they'll probably get reprinted at some point in the future, Secret Lair, whatever, or something. But for now, they're $10. $9, right? $8. They're less than $10. Great time to pick up Triomes. The companions, $4 or $5, right? Yorion, Luris, they're not that expensive, and these cards can be very modern playable. They're great for modern. Overall, there's a lot of cards. Theros has a few cards. Every set right now that's in standard where you can still get these boxes at a cheap price, they're going straight into modern. There's modern cards, right? The land's been good. The pathways are really good from Kaldheim and Zendikar Rising. Zendikar Rising also gave us Skyclave Apparition and Scourge of the Skyclaves. There are just powerful cards that are being printed that you can get your hands on right now. Reason number 4 why 2021 is a great time to get into modern is because we've seen a fundamental philosophical change with WotC with being willing to ban cards. Because I'll be honest, I've played Modern for years, and I'm a fair player. I'm one of those people who hates themselves, so they play Jund, trying to, get that 51% win rate and get themselves into a top 8 of a tournament. It's a rough life out there, but I love it. I do it anyway. There have been a lot of times where the format is just unplayable, right? It's just like, yeah, there are 2 or 3 decks that are just completely dominant. You can't interact with them. You can't beat them. It's just not fun. And then that period lasts for a while. Well, we've seen Wizards just take a fundamentally different approach, right? They've changed their philosophy of with banning cards, where they're saying, you get a ban, you get a ban, you get a ban. They're just banning cards left and right. They'll ban cards just to shake up the format. They're not willing to just sit back anymore and say, hey, the format's dying, no one's playing it. Oh well, we'll just let it rot. They're taking a more proactive approach to ban cards as needed and make the format fun. They keep the format fun and playable. And yeah, there will certainly be spikes where sometimes you get a deck that's the best deck in the format, and sometimes that deck is going to be an unfair deck, more often than not, because that's kind of the nature of Magic. But overall, they've printed a lot more answers, right? So that way, the reaction card power level has gone really, really high up, right? That's the whole idea with Force of Negation, is saying, hey, Force of Negation, you're 2-for-1 yourself, but it's better than losing the game, right? That and the whole force, well, not the whole force cycle, I guess, but the green force as well, right? The green force to make sure that you can't lose to, artifact, synergy, affinity stuff, right? They're trying to make sure that answers are more powerful and that they're willing to ban cards more frequently and more often to keep the format fun. And the fifth reason why 2021 is a great time to get into Modern is because of all these reprints. They're not just reprints, they're variants, and that can make you personalize your deck, which is one of the funnest parts about paper Magic, right? Everyone knows, when you look at your collection, you look at your deck, you picked out your basic lands, right? You picked out your individual arts and choices and your frames and your printings, your editions. You love your deck. Like, you and I could both have a Jund deck, the exact same 75, but I love mine more than I love yours, and you love yours more than you like mine. And that's how it should be. And because these reprints are not just simply, cut and paste reprints, that we get variants, we get mystical archives and secret layers, whether you love them or hate them, like specific arts and overall, this is the realm we live in. This is the reality. So why not embrace it? Like, you could be bitter and be like, back in my day, there was only one copy of a card and everyone knew what it was. So you didn't have to know all the different arts of a card. Yeah, you could sit like that, or you could just embrace the reality we're in and say, hey, there's a ton of different variations of cards, and I'm going to get the ones that I like. I'm going to beautify my deck. I'm going to pimp out my deck and make it something I love and enjoy, and now you can do that more than ever. And I only see that continuing to happen, right? Wizards knows they can print variants and print fun versions of cards, and that we love them. We love the opportunity to have that variety and personalize and stylize our decks, and now you can do it more than ever, and it's cheap to do, relatively speaking. Thanks. We'll see you next time.